Hello and welcome back to Spin Your Jaw. Now I'm very excited to say we have two-time Olympian and professional boxer Savannah Marshall on the line. So I'm not going to waste your time with a big intro, let's just jump straight into it. So Savannah, we're going to go in first with what everybody wants to know. Claressa Shields. You are the only ever boxer to have ever defeated Claressa Shields. What do you think of her referring to herself as the greatest woman of all time, and do you want to fight her again?
I think, don't get me wrong, I think Clarissa's an amazing athlete, what she's done in the short space of time. And do you know what? She plays the game very well. She plays the game. I think at the start of her professional career, she was seen as a bit of a baddie. I think now she's, winning people over. But she can call herself what she wants. Do you know, she's got every right to call herself the greatest woman of all time for what she's achieved. For people who listen, I think it's the people who listen you've got to ask that. I'm not really interested. She can call herself what she wants. But yeah, definitely, that fight was set for the end of this year, but with everything that's gone, I think that might be pushed back now.
Do you ever feel pressured to kind of remain undefeated, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I used to struggle a lot in the amateurs with pressure and nerves, but now I don't feel any of that. I think from what I've been through in my past, everything's just a bonus and I'm just enjoying it. Being undefeated doesn't really mean anything. It's all learning. Some of the greatest fighters of all time, used to have hundreds of fights and used to fight every week and lose, and it's all just a learning curve or a stepping stone to be where you need to be.
What would you say your most memorable fight is?
I would say my most memorable fight as a pro was probably I think it was maybe my fourth. I won the WBA Intercontinental belt in Bulgaria against an Argentinian girl. And I learnt a lot that fight because it was my first 10-rounder. And for me, I learnt if you try and stop them, if you try and knock them out, then it's not going to happen. And people from that part of the world are generally known for being tough, and she was tough.
If you guys haven't seen that fight, I suggest you go and YouTube it and just watch, because every time you think Savannah's got it in the bag and you think, she's going to knock her out, she's going to get her down, this girl just gets back up and she is so resilient, she just doesn't go down. Savannah, how did you get the name Silent Assassin?
I got the nickname Silent Assassin when I was maybe about 17, and it was my Great Britain days, and when we were on the camps we used to have media days, and I'd always shy away from the media, and everything would be one-word answers, and it was just a nickname a couple of the girls would give me.
Being a woman in sport, what kind of challenges have you had to face?
I'm quite lucky in the fact that you could say I'm quite ignorant. I don't really care about, I have a small group of people and my friends and family that I love and I'd do anything for, and if you're not in that circle, I don't really care about what opinion you've got. So that has quite helped me a bit. But I do remember when I was about 13, I went to a boxing club in Sunderland to spar. And when I got there, the club coach there wouldn't let me spar because I was a girl, but he made quite a bit of a scene about it. And I wasn't allowed, I had to go and sit in the car because I wasn't really allowed in the gym.
That is really, really shocking. And I'm so glad that all the amateurs I'm talking to now, they all spar with men, and they spar with men sometimes twice their weight. So that's just so bizarre. So you made your professional boxing debut in what I think is just the most incredible way possible. Under TMT, you're on the undercard for the money fight. How was that whole experience for you?
My first fight as a professional was unbelievable. Just the magnitude of it. I think at the weigh-in, there was 14,000 people at the weigh-in. So now I always look back and think, well, you know what, I kind of started at the top, so it's not going to get no better than that. I've been there, done it, so everything's just coming slowly down on a downward slope.
14,000 people is a lot to do an open workout in front of, and kind of, shadow box in front of cameras. So does that ever make you feel awkward?
Yeah, I hate open workout. Well, I don't hate them, but I'm quite quiet and shy person, and I hate the attention being on me. Especially the open media workout, you're there and everyone's staring at you. everyone, so it is a little bit cringy, but it's something you've got to do.
So you were due to fight in Newcastle pre-lockdown. Obviously you've spent so much money on training, camp. How's that been for you mentally, physically and financially?
With the fight in Newcastle getting cancelled, it's been really hard for me because I think I was 2 weeks away from fighting for a world title, and for it to be taken away like that, it's just, you couldn't write it. It is affecting me financially because in boxing, you know, it's one of them sports where it costs you to participate. Like, I've spent a fortune on sparring, physio, having wanting the best of food type thing, and I expected to get that back with the fight, but obviously with it not happening, I'll never get that money back now.
How's your training been affected during lockdown? Are you ready to fight behind closed doors, and how do you feel about like fighting with no audience?
Having the fight behind closed doors doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really bother me at all. For me, I just want to fight. It could be anywhere, as long as I'm getting paid and I'm getting that world title. It could be in a phone box.
Because of how sport is at the moment, you know, it's really possible that sport's not going to come into full effect properly again until next year maybe. Do you think we're going to see an influx of boxers retiring after lockdown, or even during lockdown? I know Conor McGregor's just announced his retirement for the third or fourth time in a few years.
Yeah, definitely. I was having this conversation with April Hunter, a good friend of mine, the other day, and because she's on the other end of the spectrum where April's a big ticket seller, but with fights being behind closed doors, there's no need for ticket sellers. Do you know, and I do know that she's finding it very financially hard. So, yeah, I do think there'll be a lot of fighters that will retire after this.
So the legend that is Peter Fury got you ready for your debut, and you said he was the perfect coach for you. Why is that, and what's Peter taught you?
I think with Peter, I just believe, like, just mainly the mindset, the way he's got me thinking. Like, it's never no pressure. There was a time when I used to absolutely hate sparring and I'd have to win every spar. Well, Peter's outlook is, right, I don't care if you get beat up, I just want you to go out there and just for you to do this, or just for you to get the jab going, or something like that.
So no, it was really frustrating because in your Intercontinental fight, there was obvious holding throughout, and we kind of sat at home and I'm like, there is nothing I hate more when I'm watching boxing to see obvious holding. I just don't like it. So, but how do you keep your cool and kind of frustrations down when somebody in the ring is maybe being a little bit more dirty than we would like?
I think with the Intercontinental fight, I think when you're winning, and if she's holding, then it's your advantage because the clock's going down. I think if the boot was on the other foot and she was winning, but she was holding, then I think that's a total different story.
Last question for you: who do you want to fight next?
Ideally, I don't know what's going to happen now because I was meant to fight for the world title at light heavy, where my natural weight is super middle. So I think I'd just like to crack on where I'd left off with a light heavy title.
Savannah, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate you giving your time and your knowledge. And no doubt we will see you with that belt in your hands very, very soon. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode of Spin Your Jaw.